to another Andrew Bellamy conversation piece. Today we have a very special guest, a guy named Don.
Not that special, but okay.
Hey. Why'd you say I'm not that special when I introduced you?
Wow. That's a big one. That's what she said. Well, I used to think I was special in high school. I was I was not a jack of all trades, but I could do, this is very stereotypical, but I could do physics problems pretty awesome in high school. It was just intuitive for me. And then I got to college, Wake Forest, and then I realized...
Competition?
Yeah, this is going to be such a bad analogy, but imagine like a bell curve. In high school, it's all spread out. You have your good and your bad, but then when you get to Wake Forest, that bell curve is a lot higher, and there's a lot, to be just a little bit, you have to be a lot better in order to be better than average. And this is just Wake Forest, so it's a very humbling experience to consider that, you have all these people like at MIT, Caltech, what are those people like? It's very humbling, and also, yeah, it kind of puts things into perspective. And especially that Osama bin Laden thing, that Navy SEALs raid a couple of weeks ago, that technology that they used to, avoid being seen by radar, that technology doesn't exist. So.
What do you mean? It doesn't exist?
It's new technology that no one knows that, they try to...
Where the U.S. Army knows or something?
Yeah, the helicopter that they blew up, that technology is not recognized by anyone.
Except for the people
who made that stuff. So that kind of brings it into perspective again. Who are these people?
And that's probably a lot of physics stuff.
That's all physics, engineering. It's probably so interdisciplinary. You have no idea how.
Wow. Jeez. Maybe some of them are Wake Forest physics professors.
That's a very. I don't know.
Are the professors here pretty smart, or the physics professors pretty smart, or is it the kids, the students?
The professors are pretty on top of the physics professors are pretty on top of the game. The thing is, physics professors, the way I see it, there's two sides. I'm not going to call out names because I don't want any of them to see this. But there's, in my opinion, there are researchers and there's the teachers.
Okay. Occasionally
you get both.
Those are the best, I think.
Those are the best, and there are several of them in the physics department, which is kind of cool. Wait, what was that? But occasionally,
researchers and teachers.
Yeah. But occasionally you have that one student who really shines out.
Really?
It's
Prodigy.
Yeah, I remember this one guy. I was in my second year physics class, and he was an international student, and this guy was so brilliant. The professor was giving him private tutoring lessons in graduate level quantum mechanics. Graduate level, not undergrad, graduate level. And this guy he was a freshman.
Freshman.
You run into those once every now and then.
I got a question there for that real quick.
Yeah.
How do you know that he's a prodigy though? You know what I mean? Because how does the professor know how did the professor know, oh, I gotta give this guy special lessons? Does it pop, can you just tell by looking at somebody, or
See, the thing is, I think you have to. I don't think appearance is no way an indicator.
Really?
I know this one other guy. He's not as brilliant as that international student, but he looks completely opposite of what you think of a physics student should look like. He has aspirations that, just like, really, you wanted to be that?
Like what?
He wanted to be a truck driver.
No, he didn't.
No, I'm serious. I'm dead serious.
He wanted to be one.
Yeah, he wanted to be a truck driver when he was younger, and he just it's hilarious because oh man, there's this mechanics class. It's the first real taste of what real physics is like, and there was it's Physics 113. Just F equals ma. What that stuff, but it's on steroids. It's like the first taste of what a real physics is like. And he lives off campus, and there's computational parts. While people on campus, we were grouping up into groups of four, and these are like bright kids. They're not dumbasses. We were struggling trying to figure out how to solve the problem computationally. He is off by himself, living off campus, and he solves the entire thing. We have to ask him for help. We get maybe a couple sheets of coding, and just to get by and get the answer. Say, okay, here's the answer. He has like pages and pages of stuff. It's like a full night. It's a beautiful report. It's amazing.
He did this by himself, like without a
Yeah.
team?
Yeah, he did it by himself. And so I think he's quite something else.
And this isn't even the prodigy guy. This is just another guy.
This is not the prodigy. This is not the prodigy. And this is Wake Forest. We're not
up there.
We're not physics. Our department is not like as crazy as what I've heard in like say MIT.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So it really does bring things into perspective.
Wow.
It's humbling. Not just the theories themselves, but also just the people who not only help, the theories, the people who helped develop them, and also the current students who are learning physics. It's quite humbling.
Like the prodigy guy is like, he humbles you pretty much.
Humbles is not.
I want to know. Like I want to know more about this guy. Like, can we go back to him real quick?
So the thing is, yeah, you can, but it's just like.
Is it not too much to know about? Just.
I don't know too much about him. I just had him for one class and that's it.
Did he like raise his hand to like all the questions or like what made him special?
He just. It's hard to describe. It's just. I feel like a dumbass. I used to be kind of cocky in high school when it came to doing physics, because it was funny because like my friends they're all good with the bio and the chem stuff, and I did not.
Physics guy.
The thing is, like, I didn't take physics until my senior year. I didn't even know what I wanted to major in. I actually wanted to major in bio because that was the only thing I was really exposed to.
Right.
And I was getting my butt whooped in bio and chemistry, and I got teased about it. I went to a very competitive high school, FYI. But when it came to physics, the tables turned, and I was like, yes, this is my time to shine. But a couple experiences here, it's humbling. It would have been I would have been much more humble if I went to, like, say, MIT, but I don't have the grades enough. I'm not that brilliant.
Huh. Yeah, do you think it matters, like, if you go to MIT or Wake Forest, like, education, like, at least in the physics? Do you think it's like a huge difference?
It's probably a quantum leap.
Yeah.
My friend has a friend who goes to MIT, and there's like for example, the EM class, electricity and magnetism. There's 3 levels of those classes. My friend and I, he's also brilliant. We'd probably make it to level 1, and it sucks. It sucks to be in that class. The guy who's off campus and can do stuff, he's level 2.
No.
Level 3.
Project guy, maybe?
I don't know.
And at level 3, you think there's a lot of people at MIT that could get to that level, pretty much?
there's probably only a few people who can get to that level.
Even at MIT.
Yeah.
But there's more people.
One.
But Wake Forest only offers like level 1 maybe, pretty much.
Probably a level. Most of us would probably only make it to level 1.
I see.
Only a couple of us would make it to 2.
Right. Huh. That's
See, this is the
interesting.
thing. The Prodigy guy, he transferred out.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't getting challenged here.
I don't know. I never talked to him, so
Okay.
it could be.
Huh.
And they're
Interesting.
and it makes you wonder though. You know, these greats. Not even just physics, you know, all these other stuff, you know, master politicians, Augustus, Caesar, Julius Caesar, Napoleon Bonaparte.
Prodigies of their field, sort of.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. And another thing, oh my God, there's so many things to talk about. I think Neil deGrasse Tyson, I think, mentioned that chimpanzees are our closest relatives. Our genes differ by not that much, maybe like 1%. And there's a huge quantum leap between what a chimpanzee can do and what humans can do.
Wow.
Imagine what humans like, you know, just a little bit more,
Yeah.
tap into that extra potential. And my God, I have no idea what that would look like. I mean, we have no way to conceive of it, but yeah, maybe these greats, they might have just a little bit more, but it can produce so much. It can do, of course, so much good or destruction.
That's interesting. Yeah, I feel like you feel like you kind of have to have that because like not every human's equal, you know, and like you have like your, you know, I guess more. I don't want to say. Well, I guess the word is retarded, mentally retarded.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to have like kind of the balance, the whole equilibrium thing.
It's the bell curve.
Bell curve. You kind of have to have some over to the right. You know,
Yeah.
a little more percent. Maybe some have less percent. You know, you could throw my name in that hat, I think.
Yeah.
But you got more, like, you know, you have to have yours on the right side too. So, it's interesting.
It definitely puts you in your place in the world.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. So, yes, experience firsthand and also maybe a little bit of statistics helped me understand, you know, what statistics is really about. And when you come, IQ is not a very good measure of intelligence, but get an idea.
Get an idea. I agree with you on that. Yeah, I wouldn't put IQ test I wouldn't have that just a thing.
Yeah.
But I think EQ is pretty important too, as far as just being successful in life. But yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that. In the psychology department, got a friend of mine named Jay.
Yeah.
He got all A's this semester. And you know, I don't know how he does it. He has his own. He says there's a way. There's like a way to do psychology, and probably a lot less restrictions than what you were talking about.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I think when it comes to studying or something like that, you have to investigate the core ideas, but you know, sometimes it's kind of hard to find, because if you can understand these core ideas, then you can start applying it elsewhere. For example, the idea of, I've taken some bio classes, You know, you have all these functions. You know, you have, oh man, that you have, you know, ADH, which controls the amount of water absorption. You have your, you just have a lot of stuff. Epinephrine, norepinephrine. You have all these hormones, neurotransmitters. But what does it all come down to? It all, I think, in not just in biology, but also it comes down to economics helping explore this also, but it all comes down to information and scarcity, in my opinion. A lot of the things in the world is function based on scarcity and information. And that information is often in the form of feedback, specifically mostly negative feedback. You have, for example, the Earth's orbiting around the sun. Well, that's actually a bad example, but it's kind of, it's almost cyclical in nature, but that implies kind of a negative feedback. You know, you drift. It's going to be a little bit. It's a little bit harder to tell, but like you know, it's really hard to explain. You know, gravity. You have to consider that. How do I explain this? Negative feedback, without going into too much technical details.
Above average intelligent conversation. Yeah, ABC piece. It's good for the audience.
How do I explain this? Okay, well, all right. Let's take it to economics. What I'm not going to go into the political stuff behind it, but like, what drives capitalism? Capitalism is, you know,
scarcity for goods, sort of, or
scarcity. Well, yeah, scarcity. So here comes the scarcity. If there was unlimited resources, everything would be free. You know, supply and demand. You just shift your supply all the way down, and then it's free. Everything is essentially negligible price, negligible cost. But what drives? How can people, you know, that don't even know each other, you know, do the right things and coordinate their actions? It essentially is spontaneous order. And the way I see it is, it's like you have all these. It's like a symphony, but who's conducting it? There's no one physical person that's saying, "Oh, you do this, you do that, you do this." You know, and for example, like Milton Friedman, he mentioned he described that no individual in this world knows how to make a pencil. You know, the pencil is a very what seems to be a very simplistic object is actually there's quite a lot of stuff that goes into it. For example, the rubber for the eraser is extracted from the trees in the southeast, like Malaysia. The wood is cut down, then the lead is mined out, and then you have to hire some workers to make the metal thing that's attached to the eraser, and then of course you have to have someone that puts it all together. You have to have someone, you know. It's just one simple object, you know, is a symphony. It's all based down on prices, because prices carry information.
So since pencils are such a low price, does that mean that we don't feel like we need to know the information about them?
Well, no. The idea is information helps coordinates behavior. For example, like say you want to, let's say the prices of like tin go up.
Okay.
You know, you don't need to know why the prices of tin went up. It could be a construction project, you know, a mine just got shut down, you know, we're running out of tin, another one. All you need to know is that, oh man, tin's getting more expensive. I should consider other options. And then when you look at other options, and then it's kind of like a domino effect. It's quite an amazing thing.
Huh.
but yeah, you can relate scarcity and feedback to many things. For example, in oh man, I have to call this, but like electronics, in electronics, I think it had to do something with a transistor. You know, there was a negative feedback loop. When you're driving your car, you know, there are times when you have to speed up. Some other times you have to slow down. It's all because of information that's coming to you, and you have to process it. You have all these chemical or hormonal loops. You know, you're producing too much of this chemical, stop. If you're not producing enough, produce more. A lot of it is negative feedback.
Like stop, pretty much.
Yeah, you produce too much of it, stop. Or you're not producing enough of it, produce more.
You think like natural, you think maybe like the natural behavior of people is to do more than they should, or something maybe, or.
Well.
And
If
then-
they
stop?
if they do choose to do more than what they ought to, something is going to have somehow correct it.
Right.
Like if you get too cocky or something like that, then I don't know, your peers may turn away.
Yeah.
And if you process that and understand that, you say, okay, I shouldn't,
Not as much.
maybe shouldn't be too arrogant.
Yeah.
But
What about people who are like kind of like shy, like on the other end, who like decide they're almost too, and they're more on the inhibition side. They inhibit themselves instead of like I said, they're not too extroverted or too cocky. They're like actually shy, kind of. Like, do you think that's? I don't know. Like, is that like a more of like a rare happening than usual, or is it kind of a separate field?
I don't know. I mean, we're dealing with a lot of extrapolations, but well, then it comes down to preferences and choice.
Or maybe it's more. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry.
it's almost kind of a blending of personality and preference, isn't it? So if they prefer to be shy,
Maybe it's not okay.
then they won't. You know. It's kind of like you're. I don't want to say negative feedback is penalizing, but wow, it's hard to explain. Crap. I'll have to think about that.
Well, I guess I can kind of see what you mean. Like, maybe not personality-wise, like not maybe a whole other spectrum, but like, as far as just like actual chemical behavior, like, just going back, I was just thinking like back to like old times where like cavemen.
Even evolution, yeah.
Evolution, where if you know, during the winter time, I guess, and you had to get food in the store for your family.
Yeah.
You would want to go get more than was enough, probably. Maybe. Yeah, I'm not really sure either, but it is interesting. Like,
Well, if your kids are starting to die off, then that means kids dying of hunger. Then that means you ought to
get more.
Get more food.
Yeah. And nonetheless, it is interesting to think about like the information and what we know about things, why we know about things. Like, why don't we know how pencils are made?
It's a very complex process.
Mm-hmm.
And we all specialize in what. It's kind of like the assembly line, actually. The assembly line, what made it so powerful is because each individual performs a simple task, and by doing that, you can increase your productions.
Right.
We could try to make each individual start making our own pencils, but first, I don't think we would do it very well, because we're kind of going a really jack of all trades. You know, cutting the log. I don't even know how to cut wood. I don't know how to extract the rubber.
Right.
I don't know how to make tin, fold the tin or whatnot. I don't know how to make lead. You know, I don't. But if you train me to do one specific task, then I mean, that's all that really matters, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. And also how you brought up like like that whole what's it called? The Henry Ford
Yeah.
What's the system called?
The assembly line.
Assembly line system. Someone was telling me actually. Not only did he have the assembly line system, but he also paid his workers really well. And I just thought that was interesting, like how successful like Ford was back then.
Yeah.
And adding that whole assembly line, like you were saying, like to do each single part, but also giving an incentive of money.
Well, I guess when you increase your output by that much, you can afford, you can also afford to have. Oh my God!
Like
I don't want to get too.
I
do not want to get too technical because like I got econ graphs running my brain right now. You know, with your output so large, you know, you can increase your well, maybe you know that's how I'm gonna put. Oh my God!
Save it for another video. Maybe another video.
Well, output is equal to essentially some function of capital and labor, right? You know, if you want to dig ditches, you need people to dig them. Well, unless you want to get, let's temporarily count machines out for now. And you also need shovels. If you have, essentially what he did was he managed to find an awesome combination of capital and labor, and he can increase his labor by huge amounts, and that just increases his output. It's quite something else. The world is it's very humbling, but a very fascinating thing to think about, study.
I think it's fascinating, especially like those little like lanes that like Henry Ford found, like that lane of. Not only was he able to do the assembly line system, but like you were saying, make more money that way to give back to his workers, which would increase the quality of workers working for him, because people would want to work for him because they're getting paid more than at other car places, which increased the output as well. So just kind of getting in this.
Not to mention, when you increase your output, that means the prices of your cars are going to decrease.
Right.
What used to be maybe.
It's just a dominoes of positives.
Yeah.
And just finding that game of dominoes is I think a key in life maybe. It doesn't have to be financial. It can be relationship or mental or spiritual, but just finding a positive domino set. Search for that is at least that's what I'm still looking for. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, well, the searching is going to be the hard part. Finding is going to be the hard part.
Yeah.
You know.
Also, just understanding you have it, maybe.
That's another thing. What if you don't, realize that you have it?
Yeah.
You can go off from there.
All right. Well, this has been a great positive video, I think.
Okay. Well, you've had negative videos, like just downers.
No. I just think this has been a good. We haven't had as like maybe I'd say intellectually like stimulating.
Yeah.
As videos like this, just a different route, which is nice.
Yeah.
And appreciate you being on, Don.
I hope I don't bore the audience.
No. I think this is. I think you did great.
Thanks.
All right, guys. One last question, Don.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I think some other people might be curious. I know a friend of mine probably will be like. Are you you have such a good knowledge of the world, and you have a scientific knowledge of it? My question is, what is your faith? I guess what do you believe in?
Oh my God! I knew you were going to be asking this. Well, technically, I was raised Buddhist, but I wouldn't really want to call that. The way I understand it, I'm not sure if I would really want to call it a religion.
Okay.
On a normal sense, I see it more as just more a philosophy that you can incorporate it to make it a way of life.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of believe that too.
You know, you look into some Buddhism stuff. Like it's like, yeah, the reason why you got hurt is because you kind of set yourself up to do that. I mean, I'm not saying I don't understand it. I'm not saying I understand completely. It'll probably take me a lifetime to truly understand it, but that's my so-called religion. But I guess I would call myself agnostic.
Okay.
I am not sure. Well, I think the human depiction of God, no offense to anyone, it seems a little bit questionable. You have these crazy stories that have little to no evidence to support them, physical evidence. But if there is a divine power, great. That's kind of cool. If not, I mean, it's kind of a little bit morbid to say this, but when you're dead, you wouldn't really care. I mean, there's no place to go. You cease your terminal breath, you're done.
Yeah.
But either way, I don't think there's really no point in, well, actually, take that back. How am I going to say this? This earth is amazing already, the dynamics of people. It's fascinating, it's kind of scary, but it's also very, there's some good and there's some bad parts to it. But if you think of it, your place, you, in the perspective of the cosmos, it's just wow.
It's pretty tiny.
Yeah.
It's pretty humbling. That's the word of the video.
You just among everyone that's ever lived on this planet, and if you want to include organisms, all like dinosaurs and whatnot, it's already wow. But if you look at it in the terms of the universe, it is whoa.
Yeah.
But I'm agnostic. I am open to. You smart?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was a combo breaker. I was going on about the cosmos and everything, but it's I would suggest people to take a look at cosmology. You don't have to understand what's going on, but cosmology, yeah. Just Wikipedia it. Try to follow. Forget about the equations, but just it'll help put a new perspective on things. We always care about. I want to be famous. I want to leave a mark. I want to change the world. That's great and all. That's great, but if you think about it.
200 years, no one's gonna know.
200 years on Earth, no one, there's only a few people who stand out well enough to make it into the books. Now think of it in terms of, existence on life, life on Earth so far.
There's no famous dinosaurs.
Yeah. And now let's think about it now start thinking about the universe. It's just, really puts things into perspectives. And I think that's one thing that college, both inside and outside of Wake Forest, has help provide insight for. Yeah.
We're done.
All right.
All right, guys. Remember Wikipedia cosmology.
Yeah.
So not cosmetology. That's makeup. And yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
God bless. You can Wikipedia cosmetology if you want. Both great things.